Hello artists, today we are going to measure a grid onto our good paper for our project. Now this paper is 9 inches wide by 12 inches tall. And on this paper we are going to be doing a grid enlargement, which means that we need to create a grid with the same dimensions as the grid that is on the picture that I printed out for you. So there are 4 spaces across the top and there are 5 spaces across the bottom. So we want to create squares onto this paper. So we are going to make squares that are 2 1/4 inches. So that is 2 1/4 inches in width and also in height. Okay, so on the ruler, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. So when you look at a ruler, 2 1/4 would be from the 0. There's 1 inch there, there's 2 inches there. Now you have a big hash mark in the middle, that's your halfway mark. So that medium-sized hash mark in between the whole number and the half is your quarter. Okay, so that would be 2 1/4, okay? So I'm gonna zoom out and we're gonna measure those 2 1/4 inch marks on our own paper. So let's lay our ruler along the top edge. Now when we draw our grid, we want to draw it nice and light, okay, because we want to, at the end of this project, you want to have your grid hidden in your shading and everything like that. And the lighter you draw it, the easier that's going to be. So I'm lining my ruler up at the edge of my paper right here. So I'm lining it up at my 0. And I'm going to go to the 2 1/4. So that's right here with that smaller hash mark, and I'm just going to make a little mark right there. Okay, now I'm going to line my ruler up the 0 with that hash mark. Okay, see how I'm lining this up right here? And I'm going to measure out 1, 2, and then I'm going to go to my quarter right there, and I'm going to make a little mark. I'm going to line my ruler up the 0 with that. I'm going to do another 2 inches and 1/4. So here's my 2. And here's my 1/4 inch mark. And then hopefully your 2 1/4 should take you to the edge when you line this up. 2 1/4 right on the button. Okay, so if yours is not lining up or not very closely within 1 or 2 hash marks lining up, then we need to go back and fix these. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip my paper over so that those hash marks are along the bottom. And I'm gonna do the same thing to the top. So I'm gonna line my ruler up. I'm gonna go line my 0 up at the edge. I'm gonna go 2 1/4. I'm gonna slide it, line my 0 up there, 2 1/4. I'm gonna slide it, I'm gonna line my 0 up again, 2 1/4. And then I'm gonna slide it and I'm gonna line it up, and hopefully those check out pretty much on the money there. Okay, so I'm gonna lay my ruler. Now I have my 2 marks here. And these are just like the legs of a table. You want them to be even. So the reason we make one on either side is so that we don't have crooked lines. So when I make this line nice and light, nice and soft, I'm not pressing hard with my pencil. I'm just holding it loosely and pulling it down, holding it against the edge of the ruler. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna line up at this mark. I'm gonna line up at that mark. I'm gonna pull it down. I'm gonna do the same thing for this last one here. So that by drawing these 3 lines, I now have my 4 squares across. So we're gonna now work on the ones on the side. So I'm gonna turn my paper this way. So got a little bit there. Okay, and I'm gonna do 2 1/4. Now, be warned that when we get down to this end, there's gonna be a little excess, okay? So I'll explain that when we get there. So line my 0 up here at the edge, go to my 2 1/4 mark, make a light mark, slide my ruler, line my 0 up with that mark I just made, go to 2 1/4, make another mark, line my ruler up with that mark I just made, go to 2 1/4, make another mark, line it up with the 0, make a mark, then line it up with the 0 and make a mark. Okay, so this right here is what I'm talking about, the little extra. This little extra bit down here. And at the end of the project, we'll cut that off, okay? So I'm gonna flip my paper now and I'm gonna do the same thing. So this is the 4th time we are doing this step where we are measuring 2 1/4. So I'm gonna line my ruler up with my 0. I'm gonna go to 2 1/4, make a mark. Line my ruler up with the 0. Go to 2 1/4, make a mark. Line my ruler up with the 0. 2 1/4, make a mark. Line my ruler up with the 0. 2 1/4, make a mark. I'm a broken record at this point. Line my ruler up to the 0. 2 1/4, make a mark. Okay, so now I'm gonna connect across. Oh no, I did that backwards. Okay, so maybe that's a good thing. My little bits here, that's important to say, is that we should start at the top, the same edge. Okay, 2 1/4. Okay, so if you just did what I did and you didn't line them up correctly, didn't start at the same end, that's important to note. 2 1/4, then you just erase them. We drew them lightly. Okay, no harm, it just takes an extra moment. Line them up, 2 1/4, 2 1/4, 2 1/4. Okay, so that way I know that my short ends line up here. So now I'm going to line up here. I'm going to connect down. I'm going to line these up. I'm going to connect over. I'm going to line these up. And I'm going to connect those down. Line these up. Connect that over. Line these up. Connect that over. Okay. So when we look at this, and we're going to turn it back up that way, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 squares across, okay? And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big squares down, and then you have this little space at the bottom. With this little space, you can just draw a little wiggle through it, so that way it doesn't confuse you. Okay, that is unnecessary space. And at the end, we will cut that right off of there.